Hello, young people. Sorry I can't be with you today, but I'm going to try to walk you through today's activity, which is designed to help you organize your ideas around an essay format for our No Country for Old Men unit. The essay we're going to write is going to answer the question that we've been analyzing throughout the unit: to what degree do luck, choice, and fate impact the events of the novel? There are 4 different formats of essay that you can write. Basically, you have the option to choose between any of these 4 essay styles. You're going to pick exactly one of them. Consider each of these sort of lines to be a different paragraph, okay? So, one essay focuses on the events in the novel. If you wanted to write about specific events, you would write about each of these events, one paragraph for each. If you wanted to look at linear plot, what we mean by that are the parts of a story: the exposition, the first section, the rising action, the climax of the story, and the resolution of the story. Here you would write 2 paragraphs about exposition, 3 about the rising action, 3 about the climax, 1 about the resolution. A little bit less structured, but still has some ideas there. You could, if you want to, talk about luck, choice, and fate in relation to major characters. You would write a couple paragraphs about Wells, Moss, Chigurh, Sheriff Bell, and then 1 about either the hitchhiker or Carla Jean. And then finally, if you wanted to, you could look at thematic elements on their own, the role that luck, choice, and fate play in the story in general. Here, writing 3 body paragraphs about each element. Again, you're going to pick one of these 4 types of essays, and you're going to write that format of essay. So how can we decide which of these to do? Well, here is a sort of graphic organizer, a line chart that'll help you figure out which is the best essay for you. You're going to ask yourself these questions. The first question you want to ask yourself is, how often do you feel you need to use the T-pick format on the organizers that we use for essays? If you use it often and you rely on it, and you use the sentence starters and the structures, then you want to move over here. If you use it for general structure of sentences, but not all the specific sentence starters I give you, you're here in the middle. If you think you can write perfectly fine without the T-pick format, you're over here on this side. Now, we're going to go to the next situation. If you like to use the format that I give you, the outlines I give you, and you really rely on them, you're going to ask yourself, how comfortable are you with details from the text, from the story? If you feel like you would be much more comfortable using your note sheets exclusively, you want to write the events essay. If you feel like you can recall details from different sections of the text pretty well, then you want to focus on a linear plot essay. Now let's go back to the top. Let's say you don't need the T-pick format for everything, but you like to use it for sentence structure. You are here in the middle. Think about, would your paper benefit from focusing on specific events in the story, or are you more comfortable about writing about more abstract ideas? If you can recall specific details and that's where your strength is, then you might want to focus on the linear plot essay. If you are more comfortable discussing the themes in the novel instead of specific events, you're more comfortable talking about luck, choice, and fate as opposed to specific events, then you might want to focus on characters. Finally, let's say that you think you can work fine without the T-pick essay format. Now is your time to sort of use that freedom. Think about, how strong is your understanding of the novel's themes around luck, choice, and fate. If you are comfortable discussing the theme in connection with the novel itself, then you might want to focus on the characters. If, however, you are very comfortable with the ideas of luck, choice, and fate, and you think you could lead a discussion about what these are and how they interact in the story, then you're going to want to look at the thematic elements essay. So taking some time, maybe pause the video here and work your way through this chart. Answer these questions and answer them honestly, and figure out which of the 4 essays you feel is best for you. Once you have an essay and you're settled on a format, let's just talk briefly about the starting score for the essay. I don't want to overwhelm you with this, but here's the deal. The essay should be 5 pages in total. If you write 9 body paragraphs in an intro and a conclusion, you will get 5 pages. I'm going to speak mostly about this. If it falls short, you have sort of like a shorter starting point. If you write about the events essay, you're going to start with a score of an 85. If you do great with it, it can go up. If you do poorly, it can go down. Linear plot starts at a 90, and the characters and thematic elements essay start at a 100. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why would I start with an 85 if I could start with a 100? Objectively, these are more challenging essays to write, which is why you start with a higher score. Because if they are more challenging, there's more of a chance that things might go wrong along the way. The events essay might be a little bit easier to write, but because it is easier, you then have to sort of outperform the essay and show that you can do it really, really well to gain the extra points. Now, I want to be clear about one thing. Everybody has the opportunity to get a perfect score no matter which essay they choose. The key to getting the best score possible is picking the essay format you are most comfortable with writing. That takes us back here. Do not worry about what the grade chart says right now. If you write a great essay, you will get a great score. The key to writing the great essay is figuring out which of these formats you are most comfortable writing about so that you are able to show the best writing possible. So again, maybe think about this. Take another look through this chart. Work your way through this and pick the format that you are most comfortable with that will allow you to be as successful as possible. What you're going to do today's work is you're going to start by forming your initial impressions. There are 4 different essay organizing documents that are going to be posted. They are going to be here: characters, events, linear plot, thematic elements. I will post them for you. You're going to pick the one that connects with the format of essay you are writing. So, whichever of these 4 you selected, you are going to select the organizer for that essay and only do that essay. Then you are going to give me your initial impressions. Respond to the specific prompt with your initial impressions. Then, just like we do every time, you are going to summarize events. You're going to tell me, is this luck, choice, or fate, and why, and provide evidence from the text. Let me show you one example of this. Again, these 4 are different organizers. You are going to pick the one that best fits your essay. Let's look at linear plot, for example. Linear plot is going to show us your initial impressions on the prompt. There's your prompt. The prompt we have looked at all unit. Look at that prompt and give me one paragraph, 6 sentences, with your initial thoughts on that prompt. One paragraph goes right here. Then you're going to go down and complete an organizer as we have throughout this unit. Look in chapters 1 through 3. Think about what are the most important events that you have faced. Summarize that event. Is this an example of luck, choice, or fate impacting this event, and why? Which means you have to explain. And then give me a quote with a page number. You are going to do that for each section of the text. Some advice for you. I would start by thinking about which events are the most important in these sections. Do so by going through your note sheets. Review your note sheets, review the slides that have been posted. It's the same for the others. Events is a little bit more clear-cut. You're still going to have this initial impressions. Here, I give you the specific event that you're going to choose from. So, summarize what happens with the briefcase in Chapter 1, the coin flip in Chapter 2, at the Del Rio Motel, and on and on. Summarize what happens in the event, luck, choice, or fate, and a quote. The others as well, similar. Sorry, I already did that one. Characters, initial impressions. Here, I break it up into characters. Tell me, what are the 2 most important events that happened to Moss, Wells, Chigurh, either the hitchhiker or Carla Jean, and Sheriff Bell? The rest is the same. The analysis and the evidence, exactly the same. The same can be said of thematic events, elements. If you look at luck, choice, and fate, what are the 3 events that you think are the greatest result of luck? Summarize them here. What are the 3 choice events that are the most important? The 3 fated events that are the most significant? Here. And tell me, why is this an example of that thematic element? And then provide some evidence as well. So for today's class, you are going to work on these graphic organizers. Again, go to the chart. Pick which of the 4 formats you think is best. Select one of them. Do not do all 4. That's a crazy amount of work. Select one of them. And then go through, give me your initial impressions, summarize events for each section, tell me if this is impacted by luck, choice, or fate, and then provide evidence. We'll talk more about this when I'm back in class. For now, get a head start, and we will talk at our next meeting.